So regarding this motion, which is essentially to shorten the sitting hours for this week, I'd like to make a couple of points. First, that I don't think shortening the hours per se will have any measurable impact on viral transmission. I think that the key points to reduce transmission in this place, particularly through the winter when we meet again, which I hope we do, will be to reduce the density of people in the room. And so I would like to make a couple of points on this. First of all, I think it's important that MPs perhaps no longer be required to sit in their designated place to enable MPs to spread out through the room. We could even, if it's thought necessary, use the now empty gallery. I could think of a few MPs who would be better placed up there. I'll strive.
Order.
I'll strive to be relevant to the motion.
The member was looking at me when he said that, so
if I could. I also think that for times when there's a lot of us normally together at the start of business at 9:30 in the morning and during question time, maybe we'll need to nominate for a third of MPs from each party to be absent. For divisions, during divisions, if MPs are in the building, perhaps their votes can be counted by other members of their party. So I think these are suggestions going forward. We don't need to go through them in more detail. The main risk, I'm detecting uncharacteristic support from from my erstwhile friends. But let me plough on. The main risks for transmission are close face-to-face contact. They are when ill MPs or MPs who are coughing come into the building. So these things should be avoided. The member for Evelyn has suggested no kissing, and I agree. But also touching common surfaces. And I think this is something we could improve on. It's great to see hand sanitizer through the building. I think we actually need more hand sanitizer at doorways and other places, but also avoid touching lift buttons where possible and using your knuckle, but also having those. We should all have some alcohol wipes in our pockets and be wiping these things down. Shared cutlery baskets in Sessions Cafe. These other things where we're all touching things together. And so I think these are important, but I don't think reducing non-government time in the sitting week actually does anything to reduce the transmission of viruses. I think that if for some reason it seems necessary to reduce the time we spend in the building, and this could be an issue in terms of the simple number of staff moving backwards and forwards and so on, that we could probably make some contributions. I think it's a sensible amendment that the member statements and adjournment matters are tabled, although hopefully that won't need to necessarily be continued, because let's face it, the chamber's mostly empty during member statements and particularly adjournment matters, and most of the week the chamber is more than half empty. In fact, yeah, well, I shall endeavour to avoid all of these distractions. But now I've completely lost my train of thought, Speaker, so bear with me while I look at my notes. But the most important thing I think we could do to reduce time in the chamber is to simply reduce the number of speakers on bills. I just counted there were 17 government speakers on a bill about HIV testing, all of whom saying that they'd met Sharon Lewin and been to the Doherty Institute. It wasn't really necessary for the scrutiny of the legislation to go through all of this. We would be happy to limit our number of speakers to one per bill, and while other parties other parties need not necessarily be quite so drastic. I think that's something that we could all agree to do. We would also be willing to tolerate some limitation of non-government business, but not where it's entirely take and no give. So, but because there are so many workplaces making drastic adjustments around the state, and because of the amendment made today, we will agree to support this motion. And thank you very much.
Leader.